The world belongs to those who speak loudest, not to those who think deepest. You know this already. You have seen it, the smug certainty of the shallow, the calm ignorance of those untouched by thought. They walk as if crowned by heaven, while you, burdened with awareness, hesitate at every step. Confidence has never been a measure of truth. It is merely the costume ignorance wears when it wishes to appear divine. The idiot smiles because he does not see. You tremble because you do. There is a cruel arithmetic in existence. The less one perceives, the more one believes. The dull mind moves like a straight line. It does not feel the curves, the unseen corners, the invisible abysses. The intelligent mind, by contrast, is a labyrinth unto itself. It sees too much, doubts too quickly, hesitates before every illusion it has already unmasked. The fool shouts, "I know." The thinker whispers, "Perhaps." Oh, and the world, deaf as it is, listens only to the voice that carries furthest. Look around you. The marketplace of modern life rewards confidence as the highest virtue. To speak without understanding is no longer considered a sin, it is considered branding. The fool who knows nothing of truth may still command the crowd, so long as his voice is firm and his posture unshaken. Meanwhile, the quiet one, who trembles with the weight of understanding, is dismissed as uncertain, unfit, unseen. It is not intellect that moves the world, but illusion. And illusion needs only the certainty of a loud tone. The idiot's confidence is not courage, it is insulation. His ignorance shelters him from the cold winds of self-awareness. He does not feel the contradictions that tear through every thinking soul. He knows nothing of the infinite regress that follows every why. To him, the world is a flat surface, not a bottomless depth. He mistakes simplicity for order, and because his eyes are closed, he never sees the abyss staring back. You envy him. Of course you do. How could you not? He sleeps through storms that keep you awake at night. He laughs at questions that haunt you like ghosts. He walks through life as if the ground beneath him were solid, and you, cursed with vision, see that it is not. But remember this, the fool's peace is not wisdom, it is absence. His happiness is not victory, it is vacancy. His confidence is not strength, it is blindness, polished into style. The wise cannot be confident because they perceive too much of reality's instability. To see the world clearly is to witness its chaos. To understand the self is to confront its fractures. Only the shallow find certainty in the deep. When you begin to think, truly think, something inside you fractures. You discover that every belief you hold was borrowed, every conviction inherited, every certainty a desperate attempt to resist the unknown. You see that life itself has no logic, only the blind will to continue, to repeat, to desire again. The idiot never reaches this realization. He confuses motion with meaning, repetition with purpose. He builds his confidence on the steady rhythm of his own blindness. He says, "I am happy," because he never asks what happiness is. He says, "I am right," because he never looks at the evidence. He says, "I am free," while being nothing more than a slave to impulse. It is a kind of miracle, the idiot's faith in his own fiction. You, however, are cursed with vision. You look within and see a storm of contradictions. Every action feels split between desire and doubt. Every joy is shadowed by awareness of its impermanence. This is why you hesitate. You are not weak, you are awake. Your uncertainty is the mark of consciousness, trying to find footing in a world that has none. The idiot's confidence is the mark of sleep. There is a strange comedy to all of this. The fool, who knows nothing, walks the earth like a king. The thinker, who has glimpsed eternity, walks as a beggar. But perhaps the beggar is richer in silence than the king is in noise, for the beggar at least knows what he lacks. The fool's certainty is a sealed coffin, yours a wound that still bleeds and therefore still feels. You will notice that the confident speak quickly. Their words chase each other, tripping over their own speed. They cannot bear silence, for silence reveals the hollowness behind the noise. But the thinker, he pauses. He lets words gather weight. He fears not the empty space between thoughts, because he knows that is where truth lives. The fool fills every moment with noise. The wise leave room for the unbearable. Confidence, then, is not courage. It is the refusal to listen. Ignorance is not innocence. It is anesthesia. You may ask, Why does the world love them? Because the world itself is tired of doubt. It is built upon illusions, progress, success, happiness, and those who question them threaten the delicate fabric of mass belief. The fool keeps the dream alive by never waking. Every era rewards its dreamers, but not the kind who see, the ones who sleep. Modernity is their paradise. Social media, politics, entertainment, all built to reward the performance of certainty. Confidence has become the new currency. Ignorance, the new faith. The masses kneel before those who seem sure of themselves, because certainty, even when false, feels safer than truth, which is always uncertain. The fool's voice comforts the crowd. The thinker's silence disturbs it. That is why idiots seem more confident than you, because they are unburdened by awareness, because they mistake blindness for clarity, because they cannot see the fractures in their own reflection. But in truth, they are not confident, they are merely unconscious. So when you find yourself hesitating before the mirror, doubting your words, fearing you know too little, understand that this is not weakness, it is sight. You hesitate because you see the 1,000 variables the fool ignores. You doubt because you have tasted the complexity of truth. You fear because you know what it means to fail, and the fool does not. His confidence is the peace of the unexamined. Yours is the anxiety of the awake. And in the long, silent arithmetic of existence, the latter is worth infinitely more. The fool may win the applause of men, but you, if you endure, will win silence. Silence that cuts deeper than praise. Silence that mirrors understanding. Silence that contains no lies. It is better to tremble before truth than to march beneath illusion. The world may never reward you for seeing clearly, but the peace that ignorance gives dies with ignorance itself. The peace of awareness, though heavy, endures. So let the idiots smile. Their light blinds only themselves. Yours, dim and flickering though it may be, reveals the abyss, and the abyss, once seen, can never again possess you. You begin to understand that confidence is not born of knowledge, but of limitation. The mind that sees too much cannot move quickly. It hesitates before every shadow. It stops where others sprint, because it feels the tremor beneath the earth. The fool acts because he cannot imagine consequence. The wise wait because they can imagine nothing else. What separates them is not will, but vision. To think is to split the world apart, to see every branch of possibility reaching out from every moment, each one ending in loss. That is the curse of consciousness. It multiplies what could be until what is feels unbearable. Once you thought awareness would bring mastery, that to understand the world was to conquer it. But the opposite is true. Understanding does not free, it paralyzes. It turns every step into a question, every decision into a mirror, reflecting all that might have been. The fool walks through fog, believing it's sunlight. You stand in sunlight, longing for the fog. To see clearly is to know that there is no path, only wandering. And to know that is to lose the pleasure of pretending you know where you're going. The intelligent suffer because they cannot believe their own lies. They cannot be tricked by slogans, rituals, or optimism. Their vision cuts too deep. Their insight poisons the water from which others still drink. Confidence requiert illusion. It is not courage that drives men forward, but blindness to consequence. This is why the happy rarely think, and the thinkers rarely feel happy. Joy, for them, is not spontaneous. It is a performance they can no longer participate in. The moment thought enters the scene, the play collapses. The laughter dies. The stage lights reveal the dust on the costumes, the boredom in the actor's eyes, the script that repeats itself eternally. Consciousness is that light. It exposes the theater, leaving nothing to believe in. You may envy the fool, but remember, envy is the final cry of intelligence before surrender. The fool's peace is not earned. It is inherited by those too shallow to drown. He is not free from suffering. He is simply unaware of its depth. He floats where you sink, not because he is lighter, but because he has never looked down. Your depth, which tortures you, is also your distinction. It separates you from the mechanical repetition of those who never question why they move. To think deeply is to break rhythm with the world, and to break rhythm is to be alone. The first stage of consciousness is curiosity. The second is despair. To awaken is to discover that meaning was never built into existence. It was written by frightened creatures trying to escape the dark. The fool does not know he is running. You do, and that awareness robs the run of joy. You slow down, not because you are weak, but because you see there is nowhere to arrive. The first stage of consciousness is curiosity. The second is despair. To awaken is to discover that meaning was never built into existence. It was written by frightened creatures trying to escape the dark. The fool does not know he is running. You do, and that awareness robs the run of joy. You slow down, not because you are weak, but because you see there is nowhere to arrive. Perhaps this is why the confident appear divine to the weary. Their simplicity radiates a kind of primitive grace. They act without doubt, love without hesitation, believe without irony. They are the children of the world, uncorrupted by thought. They dance, and the intelligent watch, aching to feel so light. But you cannot be both aware and carefree. To know is to carry weight, and weight bends the spine of the mind until every step aches. Confidence, when stripped to its root, is a refusal to feel small. Ignorance grants this refusal easily. But the more you see, the more the boundaries of self and world dissolve, the smaller you become. You realize that your will, your desires, your plans are nothing but ripples in an ocean that has no memory of you. You speak of freedom, yet you act out the same patterns written in every creature: hunger, fear, desire, exhaustion. The fool never sees this, and that blindness gives him rhythm. He moves in harmony with the will because he never questions it. The wise, however, attempt rebellion. They try to master the will, to subdue its irrational tides. And for this act of defiance, existence punishes them with anxiety, doubt, and self-consciousness. To fight nature is to bleed endlessly. You may call this intelligence. But intelligence is only the awareness of futility. The mind that sees too much eventually sees through itself, and what it finds is not glory but absurdity. You think, therefore you suffer. The idiot acts, therefore he survives. That is the brutal law. To know that you will die does not make you free, it only makes you afraid. To see the emptiness of ambition does not make you peaceful, it only removes direction. Awareness strips life of its anesthesia, but it does not heal the wound. It merely names it. This is why the philosopher does not smile. He sees the structure behind every joy, the decay behind every beauty, the tragedy behind every birth. He sees that the universe has no listener, no judge, no destination, only a rhythm of becoming and dissolving. How, then, could he ever be confident? Confidence requires the illusion that one's movement has purpose. But to know the world as will is to see that every motion is the same motion, repetition without end. Every love becomes loss. Every triumph becomes fatigue. Every pleasure becomes thirst again. The fool, not knowing this, believes in progress. The thinker, seeing it, can only laugh quietly, bitterly, beautifully. You wonder, if this is truth, why go on? Because even despair, once understood, has a strange dignity. To live without illusion is not joy, but it is freedom. To see the prison is not to escape it, but it is to stop calling it paradise. The curse of consciousness becomes, in time, a kind of grim salvation. You no longer beg the world to be kind. You no longer expect life to make sense. You simply see and endure. There is a calm in that endurance, a silence deeper than confidence. It is not the peace of the fool. It is the sobriety of one who has survived his own delusion. And when you next see the idiot smiling, fearless, loud, you will not envy him. You will recognize what he is, a dream still dreaming. You will see the fragility behind his laughter, the unconscious terror beneath his pride. You will know that his confidence will die the moment awareness touches him. Until then, let him speak. Let him command. Let him rise. The fool's ascent is the prelude to his fall, for when ignorance meets reality, confidence rots first. You, who see, may suffer longer, but you will suffer consciously. And there is no higher nobility than that. The modern world worships the mask. It is no longer enough to be, one must appear. Confidence has become the costume of survival, the new currency of the human marketplace. It matters less what one knows than how one stands. It matters less whether a thing is true than whether it sounds convincing. We no longer trade in gold or faith, but in posture. The idiot thrives here because the idiot is free of doubt. He speaks without conscience, sells without substance, lives without reflection. His ignorance is his advantage. He feels no fracture between what he is and what he shows. He becomes pure surface, and the world, addicted to surfaces, rewards him. Society does not crave truth, it craves comfort. Confidence, even when false, provides that comfort. It tells the anxious that someone, somewhere, knows what is happening. It offers order where none exists. The confident fool becomes the prophet of the blind, his words empty, his voice firm, his followers many. The thinker, on the other hand, is invisible. His sentences hesitate, his tone trembles with honesty. He cannot pretend to know what he does not know. His voice lacks the slickness that illusion demands. And so, in a world of showmen, the philosopher is mistaken for a ghost. Modern culture calls this communication. But it is not communication, it is theater. Every platform, every feed, every speech is a stage upon which insecurity performs as certainty. The idiot does not lie, he simply does not know that he is lying. He believes in his reflection. He falls in love with his echo. He kneels before his own shadow and calls it destiny. Look closer. Confidence today is a product. It can be rehearsed, packaged, and sold. There are tutorials for it, seminars for it, entire industries built on the illusion of strength. Believe in yourself, they chant, as if belief could conjure reality. But belief, when detached from truth, becomes delusion. It is the worship of the mirror. The confident fool does not need evidence. He has charisma. And charisma, in a culture of distraction, is enough. People do not want truth, they want intensity. They want the warmth of certainty, even if it burns them. The fool provides that flame. The wise offer cold clarity, and no one gathers around that fire. What society calls leadership is often just a louder form of ignorance. The ability to speak without thought, to assert without proof, to smile while collapsing inside. Civilization has mistaken conviction for competence, and so the loudest rise, while the most lucid sink. We have become performers in an endless masquerade. Every face is curated, every opinion rehearsed, every silence edited for effect. Confidence, once a trace of inner strength, is now an aesthetic. It no longer expresses the soul, it replaces it. The individual disappears beneath the performance. What remains is the projection, the shell, the hologram. The tragedy is not that fools exist, they always have. The tragedy is that the age has made foolishness indistinguishable from success. The fool has become the model citizen, optimistic, outspoken, perpetually self-assured. The philosopher has become obsolete, too slow, too doubtful, too real. Confidence has been democratized. Every idiot now has a pulpit. The internet has turned the village fool into a global figure. He tweets, he streams, he preaches, he influences. His ignorance multiplies faster than truth can crawl. He mistakes attention for respect, followers for meaning. He believes he is seen, but he is only consumed. And still, you hesitate. You watch this parade of certainty and feel smaller for your doubt. But remember, your doubt is a symptom of depth. You question because you see. You hesitate because you hear the falseness in the noise. To be self-aware in an age of spectacle is to live as a ghost among actors. You move unseen because you refuse to join the carnival. Confidence, in its purest modern form, is a shield against inner emptiness. Those who know least about themselves must shout the most. Their voices are not born of conviction, but of terror. They speak to drown out the silence within. The fool fears stillness, because stillness exposes the void beneath his mask. The wise endure that silence. They walk with the burden of seeing behind the curtains, the machinery of illusion grinding ceaselessly to keep the dream alive. They know that society's confidence is built on denial, that progress is just repetition in finer clothes. They understand that modernity is not enlightenment, but anesthesia. The fool feels alive because he never feels deeply. Confidence, then, is not strength, but forgetting. It is the art of looking away from death, from futility, from one's own reflection. The fool lives by distraction. The thinker lives by confrontation. And confrontation, though it wounds, is the only path to selfhood. If you could open the confident man's mind, you would find not stability, but vacancy. His convictions echo because there is nothing inside to absorb them. He is full of sound because he is empty of meaning. His life is performance constant, loud, desperate. The applause he seeks is proof that he exists. Society encourages this disease. It tells you to market yourself, to smile while drowning, to network while decaying. It celebrates the illusion of growth while hiding the truth of exhaustion. The confident idiot fits this world perfectly. He adapts to its rhythm of endless motion, never questioning where it leads. He mistakes acceleration for progress, attention for value, productivity for purpose. He does not live, he performs existence, and because he performs well, he is praised. Meanwhile, you struggle to fit your silence into their noise. You measure your words, your choices, your meaning. You sense that every image hides a lie. Every speech conceals fear. Every smile masks despair. You carry that awareness like a wound. It isolates you, yes, but it also protects you. To see through illusion is to stop kneeling before it. Modern life will always make the fool seem confident, because modern life itself is built on illusion. The system must keep you chasing approval, chasing status, chasing validation. The moment you stop, you begin to see. And seeing is dangerous. Seeing is rebellion. Seeing is heresy. That is why clarity is punished and pretense is rewarded. The fool thrives because his blindness keeps the machine running. The thinker threatens the rhythm by standing still. Confidence has become obedience. Doubt, the last form of courage. And so, when you feel less certain than the idiot who shouts next to you, understand what you are witnessing. You are watching someone intoxicated by illusion, protected by ignorance, inflated by applause. Do not envy him, pity him. His certainty will dissolve the moment reality touches him. His mask will crack, his echo will fade, and the silence he has fled will finally find him. Your hesitation is not a flaw, it is a form of integrity. It means you refuse to pretend. It means you would rather be wounded by truth than comforted by delusion. In a world where everyone is performing, authenticity feels like failure. But it is not failure, it is resistance. So remain uncertain, remain awake. Let them mistake your quiet for weakness, your depth for confusion. Let them have the stage, you have the mirror. The mask belongs to them. The void to you. There comes a point when vision becomes unbearable. Awareness turns from light into fire, and the very act of seeing begins to wound. You start to understand that consciousness was not given for pleasure, but for suffering. The fool lives like a leaf in the wind, but the thinker carries the memory of the entire forest. He feels every falling leaf as if it were his own. To be conscious is to bleed invisibly. The fool laughs because he cannot feel the wound. You weep because you cannot forget it. The tragedy of intelligence is that it does not heal. It only names the pain more precisely. The curse of seeing too clearly is that everything becomes transparent. You look at faces and see mechanisms. You look at love and see repetition. You look at happiness and see the fear beneath it. Every dream, every ideal, every virtue begins to rot once you look too long. And yet, you cannot look away. The eyes of the mind do not close once opened. They remain awake even when you beg for darkness. There is a torture in lucidity. It is the awareness that nothing you love is permanent, that everything you touch is already decaying, that all human effort ends in the same silence. The fool calls this pessimism, but it is not. It is honesty. The sun does not apologize for burning. Truth does not apologize for destroying comfort. The intelligent cannot escape reflection. Their mind folds inward endlessly, dissecting every impulse, analyzing every emotion until even joy becomes a subject of autopsy. They live in permanent exile from simplicity. The fool feels hunger and eats. The wise feel hunger and ask why they feel it, what it means and whether it matters. The meal grows cold while they think. To see through illusion is to lose innocence. And once innocence is gone, nothing in the world tastes the same. Beauty becomes bittersweet. Love becomes fragile. Hope becomes a flickering candle in a wind that never stops. The wise cling to that candle not because they believe it will last, but because it is all that stands between them and total darkness. The fool never feels this abyss. He lives entirely on the surface of things. He loves without reflection, hates without reason, believes without proof. His world is flat, and in its flatness lies his peace. But the wise, they live on the edges, where surfaces collapse into depth. They see too much of the machinery beneath the mask. They hear the groaning of existence behind every laugh. They know that joy and suffering are the same movement of the same will. Every pleasure carries its twin. Every desire is haunted by its fulfillment. The wise suffer because they see that every yes is followed by a hidden no. The fool, blind to this, lives freely in the illusion of choice. He acts without irony, desires without guilt, and dies without ever knowing he was alive. You envy him sometimes. You envy the simplicity of his belief, the ease with which he moves through the world. But then you realize his life may be easier, but it is not deeper. He skims the surface of the ocean while you drown in its depth. But drowning is still more real than floating. The pain of seeing is closer to truth than the comfort of blindness. There are moments when you wish to close your eyes, to become again as naive as the crowd, to speak without hesitation, to act without consequence, to feel without reflection. But every attempt to forget only reminds you of what you know. You cannot unlearn the structure of the dream once you've seen the strings that hold it up. You cannot return to illusion once it has betrayed you. And yet, this awareness is not a punishment, it is purification. The fool's joy is shallow because it depends on illusion. The thinker's despair is deeper because it burns through illusion. Only by losing the false can one begin to touch the real, though the real offers no comfort. It offers clarity, and clarity is the cruelest mercy. Seeing the world as it is cruel, aimless, endlessly repetitive, does not destroy the soul, it refines it. The pain that awareness brings is the friction of awakening. It strips away vanity, noise, pretense, leaving only what cannot be deceived. It teaches you that to live consciously is to suffer beautifully, to find rhythm in despair, form in chaos, silence in meaninglessness. There is a loneliness in this clarity. The deeper you see, the fewer people you can speak to. You become foreign in your own world, a stranger among the sleeping. Their laughter echoes around you like music from another planet. You cannot join it, for you have seen what they laugh to forget. You carry knowledge that cannot be shared, the awareness that life does not need your consent to continue, that the universe will spin with or without your meaning. In this loneliness, a strange strength begins to form. It is not the strength of hope, but of endurance. You stop demanding that the world justify itself. You stop asking why. You no longer expect fairness or purpose. You accept the absurd as the natural state of existence. And in that acceptance, a subtle transformation occurs. The torment of seeing becomes the serenity of witnessing. The fool believes he is the center of the world. The wise see that they are not even a footnote. To know one's insignificance is painful at first, then liberating. The ego dies screaming, but in its absence, peace begins. The more you dissolve into awareness, the less you suffer from its burns. The same fire that once destroyed you begins to illuminate. But this peace is not happiness. It is resignation, the highest wisdom in a world governed by blind will. It is the calm that follows the storm of illusions. It is not the smile of triumph, but the quiet of exhaustion. The wise one no longer seeks victory over life. He merely ceases to fight what he cannot change. He learns the art of suffering without bitterness, of existing without expectation. This is the secret the confident fool will never understand, that peace does not come from control, but from surrender. Confidence seeks domination, wisdom accepts limitation. The fool believes he commands the river, the wise let it carry them, knowing there is no shore. The torture of seeing eventually gives way to stillness. You stop wishing to be blind again. You stop envying the fool. You start to see his confidence for what it is, not strength, but illusion painted over emptiness. You recognize that ignorance is not light, it is merely the absence of awareness. What you once called suffering now feels like clarity, and clarity, though heavy, is clean. The world remains the same, loud, blind, chaotic, but something within you shifts. You no longer fight the noise, you observe it. You no longer chase meaning. You witness the endless chase of others and find a quiet irony in their struggle. You begin to see beauty even in futility, because futility, seen without denial, has its own strange grace. Perhaps this is the philosopher's redemption, not escape from suffering, but intimacy with it. The ability to look into despair and say, I know you, to sit in darkness without fear, to love what is fleeting without pretending it will last, to watch the fools dance and not despise them, for you too once danced before you saw the floor crumble. The fool's confidence is the laughter of sleep. The philosopher's calm is the silence of awakening. Both belong to the same dream, one unaware, the other aware. But only one knows he is dreaming, and that knowledge, though it kills comfort, births freedom. The torture of seeing becomes the tenderness of understanding. The pain of consciousness becomes its poetry. To see deeply is to suffer wisely, and in that wisdom lies the only peace left to man. Let the fools believe they are free. You have seen the truth, and though it breaks you, it also absolves you. You are no longer blind. You are no longer afraid. You are no longer fool. That is enough.